So this is a video about problems with the little rubber button on the door handle of a Renault Captur. Captur has a really rather sophisticated locking system which works really well when it works. As long as you have the key about your person, you can come up to your car and without so much as pressing the lock unlock button on the key, you just go to the door, push the little button and open the door. Absolutely great. And similarly, when you walk away from the car, you can hear it there, the door locks. Come back to the car, again with the key about your person. One touch on the button and the door opens. Everything is fine, of course, as long as that little micro switch underneath the rubber button on the key there still works. And apparently it's a common problem with the Renault Captur is after a couple of years the micro switch fails. Pretty scary to try and fix because really I didn't know where to start, but I did manage to read somewhere on the internet that someone had replaced the micro switch just for a couple of pence, and I thought, well, there's a challenge, I'll have a go at that. But he didn't actually say how he'd done it, so I really had to set about this with some trepidation, I might say, for fear of leaving my wife with a driver's door handle that didn't open or shut the door or do anything. Okay, so here are the tools you're going to need to do the job. On the right is a T15 Torx bit screwdriver. In the middle is a really small sized Phillips PH1, I think it is, small sized Phillips bit, and just a regular small screwdriver. Here we have the actual micro switch. It really is very tiny. It's about 6mm by 6mm square, and height wise maybe just 3.5 millimeters. You can buy these on the internet. It really costs just a few pence. The postage is more than the price of the micro switch itself. And then of course you're going to need a soldering iron. I'm not going to show you that bit because I've already done it. As you see, my car door is working perfectly. I'm just going to go through the steps again so you can see how to get at it. If you're not competent with soldering on really quite a small scale, and you haven't got a soldering iron that can, maybe a pointed soldering iron that can do this job, you're going to find a bit of difficulty doing it. But if you're happy to have a go at the soldering and solder a switch of that size, you can see the 4 little tiny legs on it, then you're in business. So let's have a look and see how we did it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just prise off a little plastic cap on the inside of the door. This is it. There we go. And when you look inside, I don't know whether you can see inside. Yep, there is. This is where we use the T15 Torx. Now, most people will be pretty worried about unscrewing that screw because you're worried that as you undo it, it drops off, falls down inside the door panel itself, and then you've got a bigger problem on your hands. But don't worry, it undoes half a dozen turns or so and then goes no further. The main problem you've got to worry about is not dropping the bit off your T15 screwdriver, dropping the bit down inside the door. So with a little bit of care, here we go. Okay, that's nearly undone. So without dropping the bit, pull that out. So now that screw is unscrewed. That then releases the little plastic end piece on the door here, and that should just pull out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video and just prise it out using a screwdriver gently, and then pick it up from there. Okay, so I've just started it and I can pull that bit out altogether. Now comes a quite scary bit, and that is we're going to kind of release the door handle from the door. It goes a bit like this. hold the door handle and pull it towards you, and it makes a sharp click, and at that point you can pull the handle out. Various little seals come off, we'll take them off and put them out of the way, and from this point again just gently ease it out, no forcing is required, and you can find the whole door handle comes out. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, now there's a small Phillips screw that needs to be undone. Basically what happens is you need to lever it at this end, and then the front of the door handle will come forwards, and then it comes off at that end. So it's hooked on over there. You have to release the back end first before you can pull it off over there. Things are getting pretty exciting now. So you go to the end where the little rubber switch is, and I've already loosened it a little bit, and you can just pull that bit out. Now, the only problem we have from this point onwards is I was not able to find any connector, obviously that's inside the door handle, that allows me to release this whole part from the door itself. So all the work has to take place right here in this position. What we're going to do next is just prise off this little black plastic cover. There's 4 little tags, 1, 2, 3, 4 little tags. They need to be pushed in and at the same time lever out that rectangular little square bit of potted plastic, and the microswitch is on the other side there. So let me get that out and then we'll have a look. So I've done my little bit of prising now, and then basically the little plastic cover comes off, and there is the cause of all the problem. And you can see a new microswitch soldered in by me there. Not very pretty, I hasten to add, because when I scarcely touched the microswitch and it actually came off in my hands. This is the old one, and I had a real job soldering it back in. In fact, now that I've got it apart again, I'm going to put a little bit of super glue underneath the microswitch. Really, what I'm worried about is if that button is pushed time after time after time over the next months and years, it's going to come loose again. If you look at the very front of it, the 2 connections, electrical connections that the microswitch has to make is basically those front 2 legs. There's a little, what's called a through-plated hole in the circuit board, and they have to make connection. It's just a couple of millimeters apart right at the very front. So you can see the legs at the front of the microswitch. The solder is being directed inwards to these 2 little pads, and if you can't connect onto those, you're never going to restore it at all. The back legs don't really do anything at all. In fact, you can see one of them's not soldered at all. The way the circuit board works, if I hadn't made such a mess of it, is that the left-hand pair of legs and the right-hand pair of legs are individually connected to each other. That's the front left, rear left to each other, the front right, rear right to each other. But you don't need to worry about that. As long as you get a good connection on those front 2 legs, that is what counts. Of course, the other problem that I mentioned earlier is there is no way of moving this assembly away from the car, so the soldering has to be done in this position here. That's why I'm sat on a seat, maybe a little table next to you, electrical supplies, soldering iron, etc, etc. Quite a fiddly little job to be doing in the outside, but nevertheless that's what it takes to replace this microswitch. Anyway, I'm going to go and get a bit of super glue now, and I'm just going to run a little bit of super glue underneath the body of this switch to help secure it to the circuit board, given that it doesn't have as many solder pads as it should have. Yeah, so looking at the left-hand legs of the microswitch, the reason why I didn't solder it at all is when the first one came off, it actually removed the copper pads off the circuit board, so there was nothing to solder onto. Hence, I've now run a little bit of super glue under the microswitch itself, and hopefully that will hold it to the circuit board. I hope this switch doesn't go again, because I'm going to have real trouble getting it off if I have to do this job a second time. Anyway, okay, now we can put the little plastic rubber button bit on the clip closing it until it snaps into place. Difficult to do the one hand. There we go, click, click, click. Carefully route these bits back in, pop the switch into its position there. And reassemble in reverse order, as they say. So we hook the front of the handle on at the front end, as we saw in the disassembly, close it up, and it more or less goes back together again. We're then going to get the screw and retighten it. Put the screw back in the hole in there and do that up. Okay, this bit is quite fun. What we've got to do is get the handle back in and let's go to get it. Okay, so there is the handle, just positioned a little bit away from the door skin itself. Give it a firm grip and push, and it snaps into place. That's what you've got to do. Don't worry if you can't do it the first time. It's taken me quite a number of goes to do it. And now all we've got to do is put the little door finishing bit in there. Okay, pop the door finishing bit in there, in it goes, and then we're going to use our torque screwdriver to do it up. Okay, so here we go with the torque screwdriver again. Just do that up. Nice and snug, and then the little plastic washer we can pop in. Hey presto, shut the door, and I have the key about my person in my pocket. Try the door, opens, locks, open, the door is fixed. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so I hope this has been of assistance to you if your Renault Captur has suffered from the same problem, namely the driver's door button doesn't work. If it has helped you, put an encouraging comment in the comment section by way of encouragement to me. I've never posted a YouTube video before. This is my very first, but I do it because I've learned so many things from other people's videos, and say this is my way of making a small contribution in return. Thanks a lot, and bye.